who are listening to the podcast and rudely interrupted. I apologize. What's up, Ferris? What's happening, Kibby? What's going on, Mitchell? Dan? By the way, Straight Cash Homie. Taking over our spot on ESPN. I told Jesse, get legal involved. That needs to happen. Where's the shout-out? What's up, Cohen? All right, give me 1 second. I want to pull up pricing. 2021 Inception. I have a good feeling about today, too. It's a calculator day. Oh, world's largest calculator for the world's smallest man. Inventory. What's up, Kent? What's happening, Mr. Rick Shaw? I'll be honest, Dan, I am a fraudulent Boss fan. I'm the hits only man. Real Springsteen fans hate people like me. Hits only for me, sir. The hairline, it's not great. It's not a very, yeah, but Vincent, he says it 20 years ago. All of a sudden they're dropping, no, I'm just kidding. I did think that was funny, though. So, real quick, oh, God, I'm getting old. Just to be completely clear, like I always am, I don't have Inception on here. What was it, like 60? Inception's a $16 case. I think it was like $900. Yeah, so Inception case, box cost to breakers, including myself, is like $60. There was a guy on there whining about it today. Adam, apparently all the scalpers and breakers got Inception because we didn't approve his post. Which means as soon as I saw that, well, Kyle saw it and told me, so I immediately approved it. So a couple things. First of all, if you look in the queue, which I don't know if members can see, I think it's only admins, every time of the day, there's 25 to up to 150 posts to approve. We don't just approve all the posts at once, like I've said before. I don't think there's any value in doing that. Somebody said, well, that's what Sports Card Investor does. Yeah, that clown Jeff is never, ever on Facebook. I've never seen him respond to a question or interact with fans at all, and quite frankly, I don't think he knows anything about the hobby in general. So I don't care. If your comparison is ever going to be that guy, I'm so happy to be on the complete other side. Anytime you can say he does it this way and you do it the other way, even if you think it's a bad thing, that's literally the biggest compliment you could ever give me in the world, saying we don't do anything like that fraudulent clown. Yeah, so we don't just approve posts. We try to approve a bunch at once, and then we try to comment and actually respond. Otherwise, you just get 75 posts, and yes, your post gets approved, but nobody comments because the whole page is just bogged down. I don't know who this Adam guy is. It's nothing against him because there's been a bunch of people talking about breaker markups and everything else. And here's what I'll say. I don't have it. You ever want to know what the actual cost is on a product? Just ask me. I'll tell you. Cost to me means nothing to me when I go to market with a product. That's like saying Bitcoin cost me $20,000 6 months ago, and I should only sell it for $21,000 because I shouldn't mark it up now. If the market dictates it's now a $60,000 Bitcoin, why would I sell it for less? I don't understand. I've never understood that logic. If your thinking is, and some people say this, well, let's just stop buying it in mass, no problem. Then if that's how people feel, you think things are priced out, you shouldn't buy them, no problem, don't buy it. We've been there before, we'll be there again. You know, as breakers, there was tough times before when you spent hundreds of thousands of dollars a year and made no money, or very little. Now it's a complete opposite. Every single product now is profitable. So I have no problem with that. If that's what the market dictates, hey, the prices are too high, we're going to hold off. Cool. Hold off. It's fine. I'm a big fan of free market, like I've always said. If that's what you think you should do, no problem. Prism basketball, 2021 Prism basketball, ruining the hobby. People are charging out, people are raping on this. I will say this. First of all, Panini doesn't set the price to the market. Panini's price to breakers on Prism this year, our box cost, I believe, is $260 a box. We're going to sell it for probably $2,000 to $2,200. You know why? Because people will pay that. I don't feel bad doing that. I never have. Inception is, like I said, I think it's $58 a box our cost. The retailers online are selling for $1.75 right now. We're probably going to be at $140 to $150 a box-ish. you know, that's just kind of how it's going to go. But that's why you don't see me on here trying to push brakes or pleading, begging with people, please fill this. If you don't think it's money well spent, I don't blame you. Don't buy in. I almost never break myself. Um, if you think Prism at $2,200 a box is outrageous, I do too. But guess what? I'm not going to sell it cheaper than that when everybody else is selling it for 23, 24, 2,500. This is a business. That's how business works. Supply and demand. So, but there's a misconception that people say, well, Topps is raping people on price or Panini is. It's not Topps and Panini. Topps and Panini pricing is super low when they come to market with it. Well, breakers are charging and these retailers are charging. Yeah, if somebody says they're going to pay me $500 for something instead of $200, my thing is if you're going to say that, I'd like people who run their mouth like that to be consistent. So, hey, you bought something for X, you should only be able to sell it for X plus this small number. Fine. I'd like to see your stock portfolio. The economy is booming right now. I'd like to know stocks you bought low that have since gone 3x the value. I'll give you 1.2 times your buy-in because that's a fair profit. Or some of the product, like you bought a Griffey Jr. card 5 years ago, it was $400, and now it's worth $1,500. Okay, I'll give you $500. The logic is flawed. The market is extremely hot right now, and as much as people want to whine about pricing, you're also selling your singles higher than ever before. I don't think the singles rise in price is enough to catch up to the wax price. I've always said if you're getting into breaking, just for the example of making money, it's like playing the lottery. It's not statistically, your odds are not great. That's why if I were getting into breaks, I would be very selective. I buy into products that are base heavy, Bowman, Topps, different things like that, because I think if I miss on the big hit, I'm going to get a bunch of base cards. I can grade them. I can send them in. I can do, I can make money back that way. And maybe I hit a monster card. But like guys buying into Prism, you'll never see me sit up here and pump up Prism breaks unless you're just going in for the thrill of the chase, the gambler's mentality, which is fine if that's your thing. I think the frustration is there is no lag time for value. Hang on. Could you go into the part where the distributors hold back product for an inflated reorder price rather than... Yeah, Cody, I'll talk about that too. Distributors are smart. They're giving stuff to people at, a markup, which generally the distributor markup is about 15%. Well, then they give me a product, so they give me Prism at $3,000 a case, and I go off and sell that case for, $25,000, right? They're leaving $22,000 on the table every case they break. So what do? They find a balance. We need to supply these guys product at cost to keep business moving, but yeah, we should hold some back. I've come on the record and said that before. I have no issue with distributors holding product back. It's good for their business. When times get bad, they do the same thing. They've always done that. And times were bad just a few years ago where we were taking on crap product. They were giving us good product to help. So now they're kind of giving it back to us. It's kind of an ebb and flow to the whole thing. I just don't... Yeah, and Adam, you make a good point. There is no lag time. The market is so aggressive right now, and the grading thing has really thrown things off, because before you could go in and buy into Series 1, Series 2, all these different cheaper products that were base heavy, grade it, get your cards back, make your money, keep the flow going, keep the volume going. There's zero lag time now. There's not a lot of time to set the market. There's a lot of people getting caught with the bag. This year it seems prices are starting out high. It's not just this year though, Adam. It's been happening the last year. I mean, it's just been happening for a while now. Prices are just high. How much do you guys get from distributor? We don't get anything direct from Topps or Panini. Absolutely zero, Troy. Everything we get is direct from distributor. We don't have a storefront. You need a storefront to deal directly with them. So we don't deal directly with either one of them. Can't even find a case of Bowman Draft anymore. Now we're being pushed mixers with less hits. I get it, costs are higher, but I'd rather pay for fair. That's fair. Hey, Fred, I have no problem. I understand. So some people have that same logic, so they don't buy into mixers. No problem. I'm not mad at people if they want to spend or not spend their money. Eddie's trying to do things to bring costs down, which a lot of breakers are doing now. You can still find full case breaks all over the place. What do you fear about pop reports as slabs make to the market? Adam, I'm not all that worried about it. Yeah, I think pop reports, you're going to have stuff start coming back out, but there's this thought in the market right now that all of a sudden that 7 million card backlog is just going to be unleashed at once. and it's not. It's going to be a slow release just like it's always been. So I don't think you're ever going to see a population just shoot through the roof. At the same time, over the next 6 months to a year, yeah, base cards, certain things with crazy high population, you're going to see the population reports are going to get higher because people are grading everything. That's why I stay away from most of that stuff. That's why I think basketball is still in the sweet spot right now, where from now to the playoffs, as base cards, including, I know everybody wants to criticize, hey, you said to sell everything Zion. I did sell everything Zion except for my silvers. I kept 2 because I think that's another guy. Like Zion's a guy you're going to keep seeing those things come back and just keep getting graded. So I just feel like, yeah, there'll be a slow trickle-down effect on the really high production stuff. But I'm not overly worried that one day all this stuff is just going to flood out and hit from PSA or from Beckett. It's just not going to happen. They're doing a certain amount per day. Production hasn't ramped up all that much. So I don't think that's a realistic thing. I do think over time, though, it would be somewhat... yeah, all right, Pete. I mean, Inception was $100 a box last year. It's going to be even more than that this year. What's better, PYT breaking or PYT Michael Jackson? Tucker, I think you already know the answer to that. Hard to go wrong with the King of Pop. You know that. Well, he's a bit of a creep, so maybe not. No, not a celebrity. By the way, the rankings are way down, too. The niche market thing, man, we got to try to bring in more high-profile guests. I think that'll be the key to keeping the show relevant. Because it has been, like, we're way down in the ratings right now, which is not, because we're classified in the sports podcast world, which is not great. So that was the one thing with the breakers. Breakers do this, do that. Now, if breakers are consistently lining boxes above retail, and their overall break cost is above retail, yeah, call them out. No problem there. Or better yet, just don't spend your money there. I guess that's my overall point. Even Inception at $175 a box, it's a 16-box case. Realistically, I would say 1 to 2 of those boxes are going to have more than $175 return value in it. Villani, much, much better, sir. Thank you for asking. And thank you for the message the other day, by the way. Do you feel like Contenders is a forgotten product now? Contenders football, I still think, is money. I still think 2020 Contenders football is great. Man, I have not sold any of it. It's way down. I would buy more now before I would sell it because I think Contenders, once football's in season, is awesome. Do you think there's enough diversity in card lines out there to meet more budget demand? Should we expect the card makers to start expanding the brand? I mean, they're expanding it sometimes. Yes, Adam, I've been full-time with cards for the last 6 to 7 years. Podcasting now is one of my biggest things. What's the deal with select football? I don't know, Donnie. It's crazy expensive? What are we talking about? Yeah, Eric, I agree. I think Contenders at that price because look at what Herbert and all those guys are doing. Oh, Fanatics is blowing out the blasters. Yep. Fanatics does that once or twice a year. You'll see all of a sudden they will just dump. We've gotten 50 to 100 cases at once from Fanatics because they've had that. And yeah, Contenders could use a freshen up. That's one thing they present it as a flagship. It could use a bit of a freshening up, but I think it's still a great one. Mark, I don't know any shops in Boston anymore. I've been gone way too long. I like the Giannis play. Yeah, Rosenblatt, I like Giannis. I think he's going to start, especially with Embiid out of the way now. I think Giannis is going to be a front runner for MVP by the end of the season. I really do. Him, LeBron, I still think Mitchell might sneak there. And Mitchell, that's a good point. Breaking, to me, is, yes, you want to get in cards, you want to get returns, you want to do, you want to make money. At the same time, I feel like breaking is an experience. You need to be in a community, be in a room you like, where you're entertained. If you're just there to like free and you're looking for return on investment, you're not gonna do it with breaking. Hardly ever. It's just, sometimes you'll crush. Yeah, I agree, Adam. If Contenders just put one base rookie per pack, I think it would be huge. Bowman Sapphire is big. People love Sapphire. It sells really well. They've kept the count limited to a degree. I also think that we're in a time now where everything is so expensive and priced out so high. That's why we had that guy Blake on here the other day. I don't think there's any chance Lillard wins it. And his value I don't think will ever move because he's always going to get knocked out early in Portland, sadly, because he's unbelievable. Like Blake Jameson was on the podcast yesterday, which if you haven't listened to the podcast, make sure you do, please. Need all the help we can get there. But like Blake Jameson, what they're doing there is, hey, Brian, listen yesterday, brother. There you go. Straight cash home. He had a hockey card. The Topps now, the Topps 70/70 project. You can go on right to the Topps website, buy a card for $20 of a player you really like. It's a cool looking piece, and you might get a parallel card of it. Long shot, but you might. I think that's going to start being kind of the avenue or the outlet for kids and for people who are trying to keep young people in the hobby for a cheaper experience. I think Topps is going to be consistent with that. I've heard they're even going to do some more stuff like that with like a $10 buy-in price. So yeah, it's different than your kid ripping a whole pack, but he gets to open the pack. He knows what player he's going to get, but he at least gets the chance of maybe I hit something big. Um, you know, Eric, select going retail is interesting to me. The price is still going to be through the roof. But again, just getting back to making fun of the sports card investor guy, he spent all his money on select thinking it was going to be this unbelievable product and catch Prism. It's nowhere near Prism. Nowhere near Prism. I like select. I think select is actually a decent buy. But yeah, I think it going retail I actually think hurts. The amount of money spent in hobby is going to be tough to make up for. What's your biggest fear for all the new people jumping in the hobby now, other than awful Instagram pump and dumps? Biggest fear is that a lot of people just jump in and don't do research, and I hate to see new guys get taken advantage of. Yeah, I actually think it hurts it, Ben. I agree with you. Yeah, that's my biggest fear. I don't like seeing new guys just jump in, and there's so many other vocal people in the industry now. Not that we're the best, but I try to think we're the most honest and the most upfront about stuff. Um, I think there's a lot of avenues now. You've got a lot of people in the card market with big platforms that are terrible and just know nothing about the hobby and are just simply there to throw out content and they think you're going to buy into it, and a lot of people do, and then you get hurt. I mean, how many people were pushing? Uh, yeah, Cart, the reason I do that, I don't know him. I have never spoken to him personally except for some DMs on Twitter. If you go back and historically look at his best buys of the week, which is what if you're a new guy coming in, he has the biggest voice. His reach is bigger than mine, no question. Massive audience on YouTube. If you go back and look historically at the stuff he tells people to buy, for a new guy coming in, you see him, he looks like a very valid source, you spend money and you buy it, you would get murdered on those returns. I mean, that's a guy pushing multiple pitchers in baseball, pushing Taylor Horton Tucker, LeBron before the plummet happened, Kobe before the plummet. Every week, Antonio Brown was a big buy for him. Stuff like that, that's the type of attitude I hate in this hobby. Put a good production and a good video team and start telling people where to spend their money, and they listen, and then you get murdered on it. I would put our buy it nows up against anybody. That's all it is, Jared. Buy at the top of the market, and then people get destroyed. Absolutely destroyed. And he's not the only one who does that either. And then you overcharge because now people's big thing is, hey, let's have a site and have people spending a ton of money to buy a subscription service. I don't subscribe to any of those things. I do my own research. I spend hours a week doing it. That's just my philosophy. I don't need to. I mean, there are some apps coming out that I'm actually a few tech guys on the West Coast. I really think there's going to be some apps that are going to come along, and there's some stuff, and I actually cannot talk about it legally. Even just the idea being pitched, we had to really be hush-hush about. Thank you, Gambino. I wish I didn't butcher your name. I'm sorry. There are some apps coming out that are going to really revolutionize the lag in informing yourself. There's some cool stuff coming out. Yeah, Dibs is fun. I'm not super high on Dibs as I was at the beginning because I started really digging into the values. I like the concept. I think it's a fun space. It's clearly doing well. Collectible, rally, the whole fractional thing, if that's your game, I think there's money to be made there. It's a cool space. But yeah, there's a couple new apps that are going to come along and be instant information and education to new people. Like identification of cards, values, pop reports, literally in the clip. There's some stuff coming out that's going to be absolutely insane, and I think is real. Put it this way, we had guys come to us not to pitch the idea of getting involved, and both times me and Jesse have spoken to this one group. It's me and Jesse just asking, hey, can we throw money into this and get involved? There's a couple things coming out now that we really think are going to be awesome. As far as comps, Josh, Starstock, I'm kind of torn on. I don't love it seems like the delays are kind of rough there, which I don't like. Yeah, see, I'm not sold on the alt thing, Brandon. We talked to Lior. He called. We had a couple phone conversations. I will say, yeah, Jared, the SCI Discord might be. I just think that guy's a total fraud. I mean, maybe his listeners carry that. alt to me is just geared specifically toward the one percenters, right? Like, hey, I've got all these massive cards that I want to sell on a platform, on my own platform. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't see alt ever appealing to the masses. He was scheduled to come on the show, as a matter of fact. Like I said, nice guy. It's a cool concept. I just don't know how that appeals to normal people in the hobby. You know, like, hey, he probably does have the most expensive Kobe collection in the world. That's awesome. I don't know what that does for me. And you can borrow on margin against like what you have there in their vault. Again, cool concept. I don't know how that affects 9 out of 10 people. Blowout card forms, Eric. Great point. Yep. Blowout card forms. I've been on for years. I have like 1,000 feed. I do it. I've done probably 1,000, 2,000 deals in there. Love that. I've been on there for years. Great place to buy and sell. And yeah, but Adam, that to me, when you have a space like cards where everybody's coming in with somewhat expendable income and they just want to get in because it's the rush, I hate that you have what I would say is the most vocal person in the space, saying to buy these things. I'm looking to grade cards for PCs and accepting entries. Yeah, so Jordan Richards, we've got Sappy Sports Cards and Walk-Off Submissions. So Sappy Sports Cards and Nick Piper. They're both in this room. They're both on our website, sportscardsnonsense.com, and they both have Facebook groups too. They do PSA and BGS. PC is not accepting right now. Yeah, Adam, I've used sports lots quite a bit. Yep. Have you seen the Show Your Slab custom? I have seen those, Eric, the holders. Once I get back to going to shows more normally, our plan is we've spoken to, man, I forget the guy's name who runs the Nationals. I think it's Rich. I should remember this. Me and Jesse are planning on being at Nationals. He was super cool. Said, hey, we'd like to have you up on the main stage to do the show even. So if that's the case, we'll hopefully have a big presence at Nationals. We'll have some slabs and different materials. And if you need stuff like that too, Steve Tingwall, Columbia Hobby, he's got a ton of stuff on the website for things like that. Clint Anderson's another guy, Zion Cases. He makes the cases that you've seen me, the lockbox cases. Really cool stuff. I do like Walk Off and Sappy for grading if you're a Facebook guy. Yes, Chicago is Nationals. Nationals in Chicago the last week of July. Mike, I know you're lukewarm on Top Shots, but any newer thoughts on NFT? Yeah, Jared, so we got some interesting calls just this week, as a matter of fact. NFTs and artwork are going to be an interesting play in the hobby now. Again, I think it's really just going to affect the top 5% because they're going to come in at a high level. There's actually some pretty cool stuff in the works with, well, another thing. Man, it's so weird being involved with stuff. It's like, hey, you can't talk about it now. Yeah, there's some big stuff coming in the works with NFTs and people doing stuff. Australian fan here. Only places I found retail here is EB Games via pre-order. Do you see that? Yeah, Justin, super tough. Australia is the one place we hear from more than anywhere, and people cannot get wax there. I don't know what the plans are to expand in that market. It seems like it would be a good play for me. I think it makes sense to do that. And yeah, I'll say this: like the NFT and the art space, like Blake talked about on our podcast yesterday. You know, imagine he has a painting. He does a custom piece of art of Tom Brady. He sends you the physical painting, and you get the digital copy as an NFT. I think that's awesome. Even if it's just something where you then have to buy a piece of equipment to display it, I just think that's the direction things are really going to start going. Not for the traditional card guys, but for a lot of people who are just getting into the space and who like the NFT market. Huge room for growth there. Again, I think people just were kind of limiting that to things, but I just think you're going to start seeing that expand all over the place. Jordan 90's interest seemed to be the safe investment over the years. Any recommendation on certain cards under 100 with potential growth? I mean, not specifically with Jordan. Plenty of cards with potential growth. I mean, I think basketball inserts like that are one of your safest bets. So, Mike, will blockchain pick up with the NFT? I don't know, but Van, I don't know enough about it to really understand how that whole. I still am not super sure. That's why I don't talk about it too much. How NFT, blockchain, how it interacts, how they work together, how they coexist. I don't really know. I just know the amount of people coming in with real money and people with real platforms who really like that space. I think it's just going to keep growing. I really do. I think you're going to see Topps and Panini start getting involved with that more as well. what cards. This is my small house stuff. I don't keep all my big stuff at the bank now. Um, almost all just local stuff. You got some Brady's up top, Birds, Bill Russell, Jim Brown. Some Garnett's back there, Jim Brown rookie. I mean, there's some nice stuff, but that's just stuff I keep at the house to display. What's up, Art? How you doing, buddy? I've been buying in the Top Shop by collecting some NFT art. It's easy, quick. Yeah, see, and Jared, that's the biggest thing with the NFT appeal as well, with Top Shot and all those different things. It's international and it's instant. I don't have to ship something to Australia. I don't have to worry about filling out the custom form or the right type of postage. You don't have to wait 3 weeks to get it. I think that is the biggest appeal because you have a huge demand in the international market, and now all of a sudden it's, hey, it can be instant on the blockchain or instant with NFTs. I think it's going to be huge. I think we're seeing a lot of people experiment. I don't think everything that exists there now is going to be there forever. Some of the stuff will last, but it's also the trial and error phase of it. So, I saw Gronk released his own thing, Mahomes, even like what Blake was talking. Can you imagine if Blake Jameson did a piece of artwork for whatever, again, Patrick Mahomes, and says, hey, we're going to release this on the blockchain or through an NFT, and it's a one-of-a-kind piece. So again, I like that it's big, but I do think that's still going to be kind of limited to the top 5%er types. Mike, outside of Ohtani, who was the biggest miss in the card investment game? Oh, Adam, I'll tell you, very simple. 2019, 2020, Fanatics Prism boxes. I got 52 cases. They cost me $40 a box. My overall cost was like $38,000. I started selling those when they doubled and then tripled and went up to 300, 400, 500. But based on current value now, if I still had those boxes and sold them on the open market, I ended up making about $200,000 was my total sale price. So 5x my money, crazy. Right now, the current value would be about $850. That's my single deal that I lost. I didn't lose. I made a bunch of money, but that's the most profit I've ever lost left on the table. Yeah, about $650,000. Ohtani still scares me. I just can't get on board with Ohtani. He's got to stay consistent and do it. The other thing, too, after the Seattle Super Bowl, I sold all my Brady stuff. It went up 3, 4, 5x. I got rid of everything, including a championship contenders ticket that was like a 6.5, 10, I think, for like $7,500. That's probably, I don't know, 80,000 now, 100,000. So, yeah, Blake Griffin I would sell right now. We talked about him last week. Straight trash homie. He's got hype going to the Nets. I don't think he's a big contributing guy on the Nets. I just don't see him staying healthy and contributing to what they do too much. He doesn't play defense still. He's not a great rebounder. He's not really stretching the floor. He's a decent shooter now, but he's not going to stretch the floor. I just don't know where he really fits in with them. But yeah, Adam, that's why I don't look back and get worried about it. It is what it is. Made money on some deals, lost money on some deals, left some profit on the table on some deals. No, Eric, again, he's a guy. And so I was gonna tease this too. So tomorrow we've got Steve Peralt. He's a Barstool podcast guy, Section 10, and then he's got a show on WEEI in Boston. He's a big-time baseball guy. Knows way more on-field stuff. He's gonna join us in our recording tomorrow. So he'll be on the Friday show, and we're gonna kind of do like a back and forth. I want him to tell us hey, these guys could have breakout seasons, and we're gonna see how that correlates to their market and kind of make the connection that way. We've got an MLB network host coming on the show next week. Same thing. He's got a ton of insights. It'll be kind of cool to see what he says for on-field and how it relates to their hobby and to their market. Chris Vernon's, my buddy, is going to come on at some point. Simmons is coming on again. Gary V, we've reached out to a bunch of times. He said 50 times on the show he came on, I want to come back. And then you can't get him to respond, which I kind of thought was going to happen. So yeah, I don't know about Gary V coming up. So we've got some cool guests coming up. Nate Burns from Grand Slam is going to jump on there too. He's got a pretty cool story. Maxwell, anything Mickey Mantle graded decent is a good buy. So yeah, we have some cool guests coming up. So I am excited about that. Definitely some more baseball talk as the season gets closer, and then basketball playoffs too. Do you feel like there's much more room for vintage this summer? Yeah, there's room for vintage. You just got to be selective. Yeah, Jesse's like my best friend. He's my wife's cousin. Yep. And with vintage, like for example, Larry Bird PSA 8 rookies are doing 8,000 right now. They had jumped as high as 15. I don't think that's a bad buy. Population's like 2,700. A lot of people who own them are not gonna sell them ever. I'm never selling that card. I think Bird's a great buy. Um, yeah, Burns is a good dude, man. I've said it before. We met up years ago. Um, might be a Jesse question, but anything special we should know about filing for taxes? Yeah, I'll say this about taxes. People talked about this too. The whole PayPal thing. Hey, pay me in. What's up, Andrus? Good to see you, buddy. When it comes to taxes, people are under this misconception they only have to claim the 1099 amount through PayPal. I will say this, and I know this specifically. My tax guy, my CPA here in Hendersonville is a Vandy grad, smart dude, works for a big time tax firm, wicked intelligent guy. Um, if you take business sales so you sell a card and you take a goods payment for that. So say at the end of the year, for example, you sell $100,000 that year, but they only tax you, or they only send you a 1099 for 60,000 because goods are the only thing on their 1099. If you ever get audited by the IRS, they don't care that you took in 40,000 payment as a gift. They just care that you took $100,000 in total. Guys are under this assumption that the IRS, you can just say, oh no, that those payments were just from friends and family. You are lying to yourself. I've seen this firsthand multiple times. If you ever get audited, and some people certainly will, because you go from no money coming to PayPal, all of a sudden you get a 1099 for 50 grand because you sold a ton of cards, you're getting taxed on every dollar that comes in, not just the 1099 amount. So you got to be very careful with. That's why I just claim everything. Every dime that comes into our PayPal account gets claimed. Any cash deals I make get claimed because I'm going to take the cash and put it in the bank. Again, guys think you're going to go to a show and sell $10,000 worth of cash and deposit the cash. Well, again, if you get audited and when the government starts looking at it, they see, well, where's this 10,000 bucks from? To me, it's just smart to just claim everything, keep track of your write-offs, keep track of, and I also, yeah, exactly, Sammy. And I also just use that account strictly for the business. So every dollar that comes out, my sister-in-law Autumn does the books every single month, and so she has to do every month. She has to file state tax here, so we have to pay state tax here, and not income, but just state sales tax here in Tennessee. But she keeps track of everything. So anything that comes out of there, she has a whole column every month: shipping costs through PayPal, payments sent, just everything. I think the limit is $600 still, Joe. I believe after and for example, the PayPal, it's $20,000 in goods payments or 200 transactions over the year. That automatically triggers their 1099. But even if you don't get a 1099, if you take in payments there and ever get audited, it's income. You're going to get taxed. Sole proprietor or LLC. So PayPal runs it the same, Vincent. We have an LLC and we have a sole proprietor, just a DBA. They 1099 you the same no matter what. And even as a sole proprietor in Tennessee, you have to file monthly sales tax reports every month. Jeremy, when should someone consider setting up an LLC? If you're open to risk, how in the heck can you inventory your costs on all the inventory? Every time I pay for something out of PayPal, Troy, at the end of the year, you just see, hey, at the end of every month, she just goes through. Payments sent. There's your entire payment sent bill. She doesn't itemize every single expense, but she does have an amount sent out of that every single month. So, hey, you took out $10,000. You sent $10,247 this year. Okay, or this month. She writes that amount off for the month. Now, if we ever need to go back and itemize it, you can just go through PayPal through the monthly reports and itemize it. But she at least has a specific breakdown of the amount of payments taken in, the amount of payments sent out, and the only thing that is itemized specifically on the month-to-month is shipping. Just a couple different eBay accounts and my kids' names. You stay under the tax. Yeah, whatever you want to do, Bo. I'm not telling other people how to live. I claim every dollar I take in because I don't want to. And not to mention the real estate business. We've got 5 houses going right now. We have a huge line of credit because they look and see the income. So it stinks to pay tax at the same time when they see all the income and your amount is so much bigger. All of a sudden you get an unsecured credit loan for a huge amount and you can use it to run the business. So to me, it's just that's how I do it. I claim everything. So we need every single 10-cent card and player. No, so Troy, at the end of the month, payments sent. Get your amount, there's your write-off amount. You can easily figure out how many payments you sent. But again, if you're going to do that, you also have to claim every payment coming in. You know, some guys think they can just write everything off and not claim everything. Be selective what you're going to actually claim. It doesn't. Yeah. So if you know your friend or family want to send you a payment, tell them to send it to your Venmo, and don't use Venmo for anything else. Yeah, hey, Adam, I appreciate it, man. No, like I said, the listener, so we're going to try to make a push, hopefully get some more big guests on, and try to pump it up that way. If you were to spend $1,000 on a box of something just to make the intention of trying to make some money, use as seed money, investing and selling, what do you think has a decent return on investment going? So, Joe, if I'm going with a box, I would go with something base heavy, like a Series 1, a Bowman. They're expensive, but at least you're going to get prospect cards you can grade out. Yeah, exactly. Vincent said it way more simple than I just rambled on about. Expense and revenue. Yep. All right, let's say we sell a $70,000 card. Would it be smart to move that money into something bigger? Depends on your situation, Art. I mean, if you've got money laying around, great. But, you know, just that's why a lot of this, there's no generic answers, right? Hey, what should I buy right now? I don't know. What's your budget? $500,000 or $75? Nothing wrong with either. Why can I get a 500K? Exactly, chat. What's up, Chappie? Yep. And I'll tell you this: when you start claiming things like that, like I said, when we open up the corporate account, they started going through our last 5 years of tax returns. I had to write, affidavit after affidavit. So didn't my CPA, because as soon as the bank heard, and this is a bank I've worked with for years, they heard the business was baseball cards. They were like, "This is a joke. What is going?" Like they wanted to know everything about it. What's up, Johnny? All right, hi from Hong Kong. I gotta see this. Come over here to Asia. You'll be average height. We're 5'7" over here. Johnny, I'm coming on the plane, baby. Wait till COVID chills out. I'm coming to Hong Kong. I'm gonna live tall. I wouldn't trade a Kobe rookie right now, Brian. Kobe stuff is way down. I would not trade Kobe right now. I think Kobe is trading lower now than he has since he died, just about. So I would hold off on Kobe. If you have money to spend and you want something long term, I would buy rare Kobe rookies right now. That row zero gem card I bought of Kobe, I paid 26,000. I couldn't sell it for 10 right now, but I would buy that right now for 10 because I think long term it's a big buy. Excuse me, a big mover. AG Banker and I said it's not farmers. Dig your podcast, good cipher. Nick, people ask me that a lot. I don't really know. BCE, Baseball Card Exchange, has a lot of vintage, and it's all wrapped, so I think that's pretty cool. eBay has a lot of boxes, older boxes. Again, I would just make sure they're sealed or wrapped somehow. Kobe just is low because he went so high. He peaked so high. Now there's that lull, but wait till we get closer to May. And there's a Kobe documentary coming out, the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Kobe stuff's going to pop again big time. And when it does, I'm just going to sell everything. I'll keep one. Do you think there's any value in graded low pop Panini Prestige? Yeah, can. If it's low pop, big name players, I would. Absolutely. Bought and broke a 1990 Flair basketball box last week. What should I do with what I pulled? Brandon, if it looks really good and if it's selling for over $100 as a PSA 10 and you have the time to wait, so out of 1990 hoops, obviously your Robinson, your Jordans, the big stuff, some of the big second-year guys, I would sell those off. Yeah, eBay too, Jeff, absolutely. Isn't the regular Kobe Topps rookie way too high pop, though? I don't know the pop on the Kobe Topps rookie. Like the PSA 9 pop is like 4,000. I don't think that's all that high. Kobe's a crazy... and look what they're selling for. They're still selling less than LeBron. So yeah, and Kobe has such a crazy market, especially internationally. I don't think so. Erica, any thoughts? So I do not collect WNBA. The only thought I will have is I'm a schmuck and missed the boat on WNBA Prism this year. That was their first really major flagship release, and it went through the roof. So I think you'll start seeing WNBA if they're gonna put the big name brands behind it. That would be huge for it. But I don't have any specific thoughts. I don't watch it. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not discriminating against it. It's not for me. But plenty of people do, and it's definitely gaining popularity. Now that you have Prism coming out, that's huge. Yep. Daniel, that'll be on the show for sure Friday. The ESPN hockey deal. Yep. With thick products being a tough grade and grade. Yeah, thick stuff you got to be careful on, man. It's just the edges and corners get so beat up. And if I get a card back that's under a 9, I'm just cracking it out anyways for newer stuff. So It's tough. A lot of times, if you're just looking for a thick like an Inception card or Immaculate, something super thick and big like that, I would just buy it pre-graded if you can. I wanted to get some for my daughter, but they're too expensive since she's only 7. Yeah, Prism went through the roof. There's some super cheap stuff though. Um, there's some super cheap stuff for WNBA. This whole format is pretty much the best mailbag episode. Epic Your Flow's fire. Well, Jeff's the man. Jeff's been a big help to us. Jeff, you got a cute shout out, by the way. I hope you heard it the other day. Oh, that was on. No, I did another radio thing yesterday. I'm sorry, it wasn't on the pod. It was yesterday. Do you invest in the special? So Ryan, I don't invest in the special top stuff like Project 70, but I think it's a really cool thing for people who do. Like if that's your thing and you're looking for something to get your kid into, I think it's awesome. Chris, pants are being worn today. I apologize. We'd really like you to discuss insuring your collection since renter's insurance homeowners don't cover. Yeah, so I have separate insurance policies. The majority of my collection is out of the house and in bank vaults, so it's secured there. I have my homeowners doesn't cover it, so I had to get a supplemental policy, almost like an umbrella policy that covered it. They required me, at least with my insurance for the collection, it required a somewhat up-to-date inventory list of the assets, or so of the card. So I have that. I just have a Google sheet with everything I own, basically. Man, DSO, I saw that. You've got that gem, dude. Derek, I would say sell Dominguez right now or hold it for a year. He is so high right now. If he comes over and plays at any point in the near future, his stuff's gonna go crazy. But man, he's high right now. That refractor gem's doing like $3,000, isn't it? BGS? That's insane. Andrew, yeah, you know what's funny? Garnett got a huge bump. He's one of the few guys who hasn't come back down. Like Duncan's come way down, Kobe's come way down. Garnett is still hanging out where he was. So I think there'll be a small bump with Hall of Fame. But because he hasn't dropped like the other guys, he's kind of still already high. I think you'll see a little bit of a bump, but nothing. I don't think you'll see anything crazy. Yeah, Derek, that card is beautiful. I got a Garnett I'm going to list for sale today, actually. I got that sneaker auto out of Noir. Oh, God, I have been, Justin. That guy John in there. He's been nice to me, but that shop is... Man, there's a ton of stuff in that shop. Holy smokes, you could spend days in there just dusting things off. And if he doesn't like you, he's not the most customer-friendly guy all the time. He's always been nice to me, but I hear people complain all the time. Nash cards around here. Chris Kelsey runs Nash cards, and Nate runs Grand Slam in Murfreesboro. I go to those two quite a bit more. But yeah, cards, I mean, he's been nice. Like I said, I found some deals there, so. The red, white, and blue prism seems so underpriced when you look at the pop. Why isn't it valued that way? People just never took to the red, white, and blue. It just missed. So. D Wade's another guy, Chris. Yep, just super, super low. To me. Wade, even Carmelo is low for where he's going to be. Bo, how about Bonds if he gets in next year? Yeah, we talked about Bonds a little bit. I don't think there's a rush to buy him, but I think 6-8 months from now, when the Hall of Fame talk starts picking up, I think his stuff's going to jump big time. Again, you could easily make the argument Bonds is the greatest baseball player of all time. I don't care if you love him or hate him, which I don't like him. Easily, the argument can be made. So, Garnett Metal PSA 10 at 605 with 2 minutes. Yeah, I think Garnett, I think is a good buy. Used to buy 3 packs for $1. Scored. Yeah, that's the thing, Justin. He used to have bins in there of just loose packs, which I'm sure some of those are 80s and 90s. But I think some people caught on too, and I'm pretty sure that shop's been picked over pretty good. I bought a PSA 7 bird in there one time for just dirt cheap. What's the maddest you've ever been with... hang on. What's the maddest you've ever been with something you've experienced or witnessed having to do with cards? Something for us newbies to look out so we don't get screwed. I get angry when I see breakers who are sloppy with cards, taking stuff off camera, not treating cards carefully. Anything to do with breaking stuff really makes me angry. That's a trade I really worked hard at. I was funny and goofing around doing it, but I took it very seriously. That type of stuff irritates me. Or guys who want you to... Another thing that's super small and insignificant but irritates the crap out of me is when guys only want PayPal, friends, and family. I just... or they want you to cover fees. Dude, that's the cost of doing business. Cover the fees and shut up. Do you think the market is ripe for a better trading, selling platform as eBay fees are so high? I'll be honest, Ricky, I don't think they're that high. 10%? for the biggest platform in the world, I don't think is really that high. Auction houses are expensive too, and auction houses you gotta wait forever. I've got some big stuff. I don't know if Art's still in here. Art works for Golden, Art Torres. You know, Golden's, like, people have said, well, auction houses are gonna take off. Yeah, not for small stuff, they're not. I mean, Golden's talking about launching a small, um, he's talking about launching like a platform for selling everything, including smaller stuff. But I don't have any problem paying 10% on eBay. Again, I'm getting all the exposure. Everybody knows what eBay is. I think you get more eyes on there for normal stuff. Now, if I'm selling a $500,000 card, I'm using something else. But eBay payout, I've never had an issue. I also set buyer restrictions. If they have negative feedback, I don't allow them to bid. If they have more than a couple cases open, I don't allow them to bid. You know, you can set those restrictions. So yeah, things like Golden, Heritage, Pristine, I think it's a cool option for the big time stuff. But you got to be ready to wait for your money. Those things take forever to pay out. I mean, all those big auction houses are 4 to 6 weeks out on payments from guys I know specifically who've sold stuff. I'm not waiting 6 weeks for my money. To me, I'm good. Silver Prism, no question. Straight card. So blowout cards is there for that. Blowout card form's really good. Yeah, and the new platform art. I mean, I'll be curious to see what they actually do. I am surprised PSA didn't do it, but PSA is also, I think, just so overwhelmed with what they're doing, Brian. I think that's why they've just never had time to get into a resale, like a buy-sell trade site. And if you think about it from a company perspective, what's the value in it? If you're not going to take a percentage, and if you are, you're just going to get compared to eBay, so what's the point? If you're not going to take a percentage, you're doing it for free. And we saw, even with a small group like this, when you open something up new, you get a bunch of scumbags who come in and try to scam. It's just the nature of the hobby. So I think the same thing happens there. There's a lot more risk and work involved than it's actually worth financially to a lot of people. So I don't know how viable it is as a business. Unless you do like what eBay does. You charge for transactions. You take a fee. LaMelo Silver PSA estimates when it... So I think LaMelo comes out almost as high as Zion. Zion's selling at 5,000 right now. I think PSA 10 LaMelos do 4 to 5,000. 4,500 to 5,000. Buy all White Sox. Tyler, you're not wrong. Tim Anderson's a dude who's crazy good and super cheap. I love Eloy. Still alive, JC. Yeah, I think the White Sox gonna have a killer season. Andrew Vaughn's gonna be up at DH too. It looks like because Abreu's kind of struggling to come back, get fully healthy after COVID. And if he does, I think you find a place for Vaughn. So relationship with some of the whales. Been on the lookout for how that. Yeah, and art, if it does, it does, and if it works, I'm all about it. But I also have, like I said, I have some serious issues with the way Golden does payouts. And I'm not attacking you, but it's not your company. I know you work for them. Art's always been good with me. I have no issue there. That's always been my issue with Golden is the payout. And also, we did get some fact checkers email us. He made a statement like 28 of the top 30 cards sold in the last year were all at Golden. I forgot to bring that back up on the show. We got blown up with people in the sold reports. He was a little bit off with that number. However, Golden is still if you have big time stuff, I mean, I think Golden is as viable an option as anything. If you can't set up an in-person deal. I do. I think if you've got big time stuff and you're not in a super rush for payment, I would use Golden above Heritage or Pristine. I didn't see it, Cohen. Nope. Most random sport that intrigues you. I'm boring, Justin. Nothing. Yep, nothing. Honestly, I'm not. Yeah, sadly, nothing at all. So, all right, fellas. I think I'm going to jump off. I'll be, again, the podcast we record tomorrow. We'll have the mailbag up, topic suggestions, all that type of stuff. I'm going to try to do this once or twice a week, too, getting back to the normal schedule. He ain't getting to Hakeem level. You crazy. Tyler, I like DeAndre Ayton. Hakeem? Take a breath, sir. You take a breath. So yeah, we'll try to do the live thing once or twice a week. That's always been that was my goal. It gets, certainly got busy. Yeah, the capital gains is going to be interesting, Josh, no question. And the taxing on that stuff is going to be interesting for sure. But yeah, anyways, appreciate everybody hanging out. We'll have some more stuff coming out. Like I said, the podcast records tomorrow. I'll drop that post tomorrow as well about mailbag questions for the podcast. We'll try to work some in. Steve Peralt from EEI and from Barstool, he's going to join us on Thursday to talk some baseball. So I'm going to try to keep the mailbag segment baseball specific. I think it'd be kind of cool. He's got a lot of, he's just got a lot more connections in the MLB than I do. And the week after, I want to make sure it's locked down first. We have an MLB network anchor coming on, which I'm actually pretty excited about. Simmons, I think, is coming on the week after next. We're going to keep blowing up Gary Vee for another week or so that I'm done. I'm not going to keep chasing that dude. If he wants to come back, he's welcome to. We reached out to him and his producer or his secretary. I don't know what the guy is, but the guy we talked to last time. If he wants to come back, great. But people have asked, hey, why isn't Gary come back? That's why. He doesn't respond to messages, which is fine. Dude's super busy, so... anyways, appreciate it. Keep posting on the page. We'll try to be as involved and answer as much as we can there. If your post doesn't get approved, don't make a post whining about why your other post didn't get approved, just because it's busy. Or you ask a stupid question. Hate to say it, sometimes they're just dumb questions. Most of the questions have been awesome though, and authentic. But if it's just some random dumb thing, yeah, we don't approve everything. And when there's 150 pending posts, we don't just approve it all anyways. So, Chris, I will look up his name. I know he's got like 150,000 Twitter. Actually, I'll tell you right now. Hang on. I'm acting like I can't get the information. Chandler, hang on 1 second. I was excited about this guy, actually. Let me see here. Mark Feinsand. I got to figure out how to say his name, too, because I'm butchering that. 130,000 followers. He's executive reporter, MLB Network Insider. Mission 27. Mark Feinsand. I just like his name. So, yeah, and like I said, with baseball coming up, it'd be cool to get some of these guys' perspectives on potential sleepers, and if there's sleepers in the hobby market too, kind of that back and forth. So, eventually we'll get Vernon on too, Chris Vernon, to talk some basketball with us. He's a super smart dude with that. And as the playoffs get closer, Hall of Fame, all those big things, we're gonna try to have the guests on like the week of those bigger events. So that'll be the goal. But yeah. Cool. Anyways, guys, appreciate you listening, hanging out. Yeah, whatever. I already thanked everybody 8 million times. So, I'll probably be back on live tomorrow, maybe. I got some stuff to rip. Ken Griffin, the Evansville Card Shop, sent me a bunch of stuff, which was cool. Boxes and stuff to rip. He does the retail breaks. We dropped that last night. I'll drop his handle again today. He's got more retail breaks going up. If you do like cheaper breaks, there's a good spot to jump into. So, anyways, guys, thanks for hanging out. I'm going to end it now. Yeah, there's the Twitter right there. Thank you, Brandon. All right, fellas, have a good afternoon. Fellas and ladies, excuse me. My mother-in-law is very specific. She wants more women on the podcast, so we're going to work that into at some point, I guess. So, anyways, I may sell some singles, JD. I've got some stuff. Yeah, I may sell a couple things. Yeah, I don't know. I'll dig out the box and maybe I'll toss a couple things live and do some ripping. I want to do one of these as a Q&A like today, and one as the me ripping something and trying to sell singles separately, just so, to leave room to answer questions. So I'm gonna sell that helmet too. I think I finally got an upgrade for that grip for the that Brady helmet. So that's the old throwback Pat the Patriot helmet. I think I'm gonna sell that thing off and replace that thing up there. So anyways, maybe that could be yours. I'll sign it too. Dual auto. All right, see you later.